Do you like mysteries? To wander through the enigmatic mist of the inexplicable? Great. I'm Merc, and here you'll find what you're looking for. Welcome to my domains. The truth dissolves into the mist.
The year is 2026, and somewhere in the vast chaotic ecosystem of the Internet, a story begins to grow. It spreads through forums, messaging apps, and social media platforms with the speed of a virus, a name, a disappearance, and a detail so bizarre, so cryptic, that it hooks everyone who encounters it. Daniel Carballo, 7 Locks. The mystery arrives without warning, without context, and without any clear origin. It simply appears, as if it had always been there, waiting to be found. You are scrolling through your feed late at night. The screen glows in the darkness of your room. A post catches your eye. It is a short text, barely a few paragraphs, describing the sudden and unexplained disappearance of a man named Daniel Carballo. The details are sparse, almost frustratingly vague, but there is one element that stands out, one detail that refuses to be ignored. The number 7. 7 locks. What does it mean? Why 7? And who is Daniel Carballo? The story, as it is told across the web, goes something like this. Daniel Carballo was an ordinary man, living an ordinary life in an ordinary city. He had a job, a routine, people who knew him. Then one day he vanished. No warning, no explanation, no trace. The police were called. Investigations were launched, but nothing was found. It was as if Daniel Carballo had simply ceased to exist. But then the details began to emerge. Strange details, unsettling details. Those who dug deeper into the story found references to 7 locks, 7 padlocks, to be precise. They were said to be connected to Daniel's disappearance in some way, but the nature of that connection was never made clear. Were the locks found at the scene? Were they mentioned in a note? Were they part of a ritual, a game, a puzzle? The Internet, as it always does, filled in the gaps with speculation, with theories, with fear. Some versions of the story claim that Daniel left behind a series of clues, each one linked to a lock. Others say that the locks were found on his body, or in his home, or scattered across the city. The details shift and change with each retelling, like a nightmare that you cannot quite remember. But the core remains the same. 7 locks. A disappearance. A mystery that refuses to be solved. The story of Daniel Carballo and the 7 locks quickly became a viral phenomenon. It was shared by thousands, then millions, of people across the globe. Hashtags were created. Videos were made. Theories were debated with the intensity of a religious schism. But beneath the surface of this digital frenzy, a darker question lurked. Was any of it real? Or was this just another fabrication, another piece of digital fiction designed to entertain and unsettle? The line between reality and fiction on the Internet has always been blurry. But in 2026, that line has become almost invisible. We live in an age where deep fakes can create convincing videos of people who do not exist, where AI can generate entire news articles about events that never happened, where a story can spread across the world in hours, regardless of its truth. The disappearance of Daniel Carballo fits perfectly into this new reality. Investigations into the story have revealed something curious. There is no official record of a Daniel Carballo matching the description in the viral posts, no police reports, no news articles from reputable sources, no missing person files. The name itself is common enough, appearing in various contexts across the Internet, but none of them connect to a disappearance. It is as if Daniel Carballo exists only in the stories, only in the whispers, only in the digital ether. This has led many to conclude that the story is a work of fiction, a modern urban legend, a creepypasta designed to captivate and terrify. But this conclusion, satisfying as it may be, does not fully explain the phenomenon. Why did this particular story resonate so deeply with so many people? Why did it spread so quickly, so widely, so intensely? There must be something more to it, something that taps into a collective fear, a collective curiosity. Perhaps the answer lies in the nature of the mystery itself. A disappearance is one of the most primal fears we have. The idea that a person can simply vanish, without trace, without explanation, strikes at the very core of our sense of security. We like to believe that the world is predictable, that people do not just disappear. But the internet reminds us, constantly, that this is not always true. And then there are the 7 locks. The number 7 has always held a special place in human psychology. It appears in myths, in religions, in fairy tales, 7 wonders, 7 sins, 7 days of creation. It is a number that feels significant, almost magical. When you combine this symbolic weight with the concrete image of a lock, you create a powerful metaphor. A lock suggests something hidden, something sealed, something that requires a key to open. The story of Daniel Carballo and the 7 locks is, in many ways, a perfect digital ghost story. It has all the elements that we crave in a mystery. A protagonist who is ordinary yet enigmatic, a disappearance that defies explanation, a cryptic detail that invites interpretation, and, most importantly, a lingering uncertainty about whether it is true or not. This uncertainty is what keeps us engaged, what keeps us searching, what keeps us coming back for more. But let us step back for a moment and consider the broader context. The year is 2026. The internet is more pervasive, more immersive, more influential than ever before. We spend hours of our lives scrolling through feeds, watching videos, reading posts. We are constantly bombarded with information, much of it conflicting, much of it unreliable. In this environment, a story like this can flourish. The disappearance of Daniel Carballo is not just a story about a missing person. It is a story about how we consume information, how we create meaning, how we connect with each other through shared narratives. It is a reflection of our times, a digital age myth that speaks to our anxieties and our desires. Whether it is true or not is almost beside the point. The fact that we are talking about it, that we are debating it, that we are trying to solve it, is what matters. Some have suggested that the story is an elaborate hoax, created by an anonymous internet user or group of users for the purpose of entertainment. This is a common phenomenon in the digital age. We have seen it before with Slenderman, with the Backrooms, with countless other creepypastas that have captured the public imagination. These stories are not real, but they feel real, and that is enough. Others have proposed more sinister explanations. Could the story be a cover for something else? A distraction, perhaps, or a coded message? Could Daniel Carballo be a real person who disappeared, and the 7 locks be a genuine clue that the authorities have overlooked? These theories are far-fetched, but they add to the allure of the mystery. They keep the speculation alive. The truth, as is often the case with internet phenomena, is likely somewhere in between. The story may have started as a work of fiction, but it has taken on a life of its own. It has been shaped and reshaped by countless contributors, each adding their own details, their own interpretations, their own fears. It has become a collaborative creation, a digital folklore that belongs to everyone and no one. As we delve deeper into this mystery, we must ask ourselves a difficult question. Why are we so drawn to stories like this? Why do we spend hours reading about disappearances, murders, and unsolved crimes? Why do we find comfort in fear, in uncertainty, in the unknown? The answer, perhaps, is that these stories remind us of our own mortality, our own vulnerability, our own insignificance in the face of a vast and indifferent universe. The story of Daniel Carballo and the Seven Locks is a mirror held up to our own psyche. It reflects our deepest fears and our darkest curiosities. It challenges us to confront the possibility that the world is not as safe, as predictable, as we would like to believe. And it invites us to participate in a collective act of imagination, to become part of a story that is larger than ourselves. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. There is still much to uncover about this mystery. We have only scratched the surface of the narrative, only begun to explore the layers of meaning that surround it. The Seven Locks, in particular, deserve closer examination. What do they represent? Why were they chosen as the central symbol of this story? And what, if anything, do they tell us about the fate of Daniel Carballo? To answer these questions, we must venture deeper into the digital labyrinth. We must examine the sources, trace the origins, and separate fact from fiction. It will not be easy. The internet is a messy place, full of dead ends and false leads. But if we are persistent, if we are willing to question everything, we may just find the truth, or we may find something even more unsettling. We may find that the truth is not the point. The story of Daniel Carballo is, at its heart, a story about storytelling. It is a meta-narrative, a tale about how we tell tales, how we create meaning, how we make sense of a chaotic world. It is a reminder that the internet is not just a tool for communication, but a space for creation, a canvas for our collective imagination. And sometimes the stories we create are more powerful than the reality they attempt to describe. Consider the possibility that Daniel Carballo never existed, that he is a fictional character, a construct of words and images, a ghost in the machine. Does that make the story any less compelling? Does that diminish the emotional impact it has had on millions of people? The answer, I would argue, is no. Fiction can be just as powerful as reality, sometimes more so. Fiction can move us, frighten us, inspire us, in ways that reality often cannot. The Seven Locks, in this context, can be seen as a symbol of the story itself. They are a lock that we, the audience, are trying to pick. We are searching for the key that will unlock the mystery, reveal the truth, and give us closure. But what if there is no key? What if the locks are designed to remain closed, to keep us guessing, to keep us engaged? What if the mystery is the point? This is the genius of the story, if it is indeed a work of fiction. It is a puzzle without a solution, a riddle without an answer. It invites us to participate, to speculate, to create our own meanings. It is an interactive experience, a game that we play with ourselves and with each other. And in this game, the journey is more important than the destination. As we continue our investigation, we must keep an open mind. We must be willing to entertain the possibility that the story is both true and false, both real and imaginary. We must embrace the ambiguity, the uncertainty, the mystery, because that is where the true power of the story lies, not in its resolution, but in its ability to provoke thought, to spark conversation, to ignite our imagination. The disappearance of Daniel Carballo and the Seven Locks is a phenomenon that defies easy categorization. It is a story, a myth, a hoax, a game, a reflection, a warning. It is all of these things and none of them. It is whatever we want it to be, and that, perhaps, is its greatest strength. It is a blank canvas onto which we can project our own fears, our own desires, our own interpretations. In the second part of this documentary, we will delve even deeper into the mystery. We will examine the evidence, or lack thereof. We will explore the theories, both plausible and outlandish. We will speak to experts, analysts, and believers. We will try to separate fact from fiction, truth from illusion. But we will also acknowledge that, in the end, the mystery may remain unsolved. And that is okay. Because the story of Daniel Carballo is not about finding answers. It is about asking questions. It is about the thrill of the chase, the excitement of the unknown, the joy of discovery. It is about the human need for mystery, for wonder, for something beyond the mundane reality of our everyday lives. It is about the power of the internet to create, to connect, to captivate. So, as we prepare to venture further into this digital enigma, I invite you to keep an open mind, to question everything, to embrace the uncertainty, and to remember that, in the world of the internet, nothing is ever quite what it seems. The truth is out there, but it may not be the truth we are looking for. It may be something stranger, something darker, something more beautiful. Daniel Carballo disappeared. The story involved 7 locks and became a viral sensation. But did it really happen? Or is it just another creepypasta that fooled the world? The answer, my friends, is not as simple as you might think, and that is precisely what makes this story so unforgettable. Let us return to the central question that has haunted this mystery from the very beginning. Who is Daniel Carballo? The name, as we have seen, appears in various contexts across the internet. There is a Daniel Carballo who is a writer, a Daniel Carballo who is a pediatrician, a Daniel Carballo who is a football player, a Daniel Carballo who is a politician from the 19th century. But none of these individuals match the description of the man in the viral story. None of them have disappeared. None of them are connected to 7 locks. This absence of evidence is itself a form of evidence. It suggests that the Daniel Carballo of the story is not a real person, but a composite, a creation, a character. The name was chosen, perhaps, because it is common enough to be believable, but obscure enough to be untraceable. It is the perfect name for a digital ghost, a figure who exists only in the stories we tell about him. But if Daniel Carballo is not real, then who created him, and why? These are the questions that have fueled countless hours of online speculation. Some believe that the story is the work of a single individual, a master storyteller who crafted the narrative with meticulous care. Others think it is a collaborative effort, a crowdsourced creepypasta that evolved over time. Still others suspect a more sinister motive, perhaps a marketing campaign for a movie, a video game, or a book. The timing of the story's emergence is also worth noting. The year 2026 is a time of great technological advancement, but also of great social and political upheaval. The internet is a battleground for ideas, a place where truth and falsehood are constantly at war. In this context, a story like this can serve multiple purposes. It can entertain, it can distract, it can manipulate, it can inspire. These 7 locks, as a symbol, have also been the subject of intense analysis. In some interpretations, they represent the stages of a journey, the steps of a ritual, the levels of a game. In others, they are a metaphor for the barriers we erect around ourselves, the secrets we keep, the truths we hide. They could also be a reference to the 7 chakras, the 7 days of the week, the 7 classical planets. The possibilities are endless, and each interpretation adds a new layer of meaning to the story. One particularly intriguing theory suggests that the 7 locks are a clue to a real-world location. Perhaps there is a place, a building, a room, that is secured by 7 locks. And perhaps Daniel Carballo is not a person, but a code name for something else, a project, an experiment, a secret. This theory, while speculative, captures the imagination and invites further investigation. Another theory posits that the story is a commentary on the nature of digital privacy. In an age where our lives are increasingly lived online, the idea of 7 locks could represent the layers of security we use to protect our personal information. Daniel Carballo in this reading is a symbol of the individual in a surveillance society. A person who has been erased by the very systems that were supposed to protect him. The viral nature of the story is also a fascinating aspect to examine. How did it spread so quickly? What made it so compelling? The answer, in part, lies in the psychology of sharing. We share stories that evoke strong emotions, that challenge our assumptions, that make us feel part of something larger. The Disappearance of Daniel Carballo does all of these things. It frightens us, it puzzles us, it connects us. Social media algorithms also played a role in the story's spread. Platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube are designed to promote content that generates engagement. The mystery of Daniel Carballo and the 7 Locks was tailor-made for this environment. It was short, it was cryptic, it was shareable. It was the perfect viral content. But we must also consider the possibility that the story is not entirely fictional. Perhaps there is a grain of truth buried beneath the layers of speculation and invention. Perhaps Daniel Carballo is a real person whose disappearance was co-opted by the internet and transformed into something else. This has happened before, with other missing persons cases that became internet sensations. If this is the case, then the story of Daniel Carballo takes on a darker tone. It becomes a story about exploitation, about the commodification of tragedy, about the way we consume the suffering of others for our own entertainment. It is an uncomfortable thought, but one that we must confront if we are to understand the full scope of this phenomenon. The authorities, for their part, have remained largely silent on the matter. There have been no official statements, no press conferences, no investigations. This silence has only fueled the speculation, leading some to believe that there is a cover-up, a conspiracy, a hidden truth that the powers that be do not want us to know. Others see the silence as confirmation that the story is a hoax, not worthy of official attention. In the absence of concrete information, the internet has filled the void with theories, stories, and art. Fan-made videos, podcasts, and articles have proliferated, each offering their own take on the mystery. The story has become a cultural phenomenon, a touchstone for a generation raised on digital media. Some creators have even attempted to solve the mystery, treating it as a real-world puzzle. They have analyzed the text of the original posts, searching for hidden messages. They have mapped out possible locations, looking for places that match the description. They have interviewed people who claim to have information, trying to separate fact from fiction. But so far, no one has succeeded in cracking the case. This failure, however, has not diminished the story's appeal. If anything, it has enhanced it. The unsolved mystery is a powerful narrative device, one that keeps us coming back for more. We want to be the one who solves it, who finds the key, who unlocks the truth. But perhaps the truth is that there is no key, no solution, no answer. Perhaps the mystery is designed to remain unsolved. The story of Daniel Carballo and the 7 Locks is a Rorschach test for the digital age. It reveals as much about us as it does about the story itself. Our fears, our desires, our prejudices, our hopes, all of these are projected onto the blank canvas of the narrative. We see what we want to see, what we need to see. For some, the story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of the internet, about the way it can distort reality and create false narratives. For others, it is a celebration of the internet's creative potential, its ability to generate new myths and legends. For still others, it is simply a source of entertainment, a way to pass the time and engage with others. But regardless of how we interpret it, the story has left a mark on our collective consciousness. It has become part of the digital folklore of the 21st century, a story that will be told and retold for years to come. It has joined the ranks of other internet legends, like the Slender Man, the Backrooms, and the Russian sleep experiment. These stories, like the disappearance of Daniel Carballo, are not just tales. They are cultural artifacts, windows into the soul of our time. They reveal our anxieties about technology, our fears of the unknown, our longing for connection. They are the myths of the digital age, and they are as powerful as any myth that came before. As we reach the end of our investigation, we must acknowledge that we may never know the truth about Daniel Carballo. We may never know if he was real or fictional, if the 7 locks were a clue or a red herring, if the story was a hoax or a genuine mystery. And perhaps that is the point. The mystery of Daniel Carballo and the 7 locks is not a puzzle to be solved, but a story to be experienced. It is a journey into the heart of the digital unknown, an exploration of the boundaries between reality and fiction, truth and illusion. It is a reminder that, in the age of the Internet, nothing is certain and everything is possible. So, the next time you come across a strange story online, a tale that seems too bizarre to be true, remember the disappearance of Daniel Carballo. Remember the 7 locks. Remember the questions that were never answered. And ask yourself, what is real and what is just a story? The answer, my friends, may be more complicated than you think. Daniel Carballo disappeared. The story became a viral sensation. But the truth, like the man himself, remains elusive. And perhaps, in the end, that is exactly how it was meant to be.
Did you like this mystery? And what is your theory? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, then like and share. I'm Merc, and I'll be waiting for you in the next mystery.